All right, so why do we need to do this next part? Why do we need to have the ability to sort of put together a bunch of if statements, or not if statements, conditions, right? Well, a lot of times in numbers, especially working with numbers, is where we'll want to stack some things. At the same time, there may be conditions that we want to check, such as a user's name plus how old they are, or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to clear out these things that I just had, and we're gonna do something. I want to see. We want to check for a couple of things. Maybe we want to check to see if a person. We're gonna check to see if a person can drive and are eligible to stay on their parents' health insurance. So what we know, of course, is that to drive in Maryland, a person's age needs to be equal to or greater than 16. So the way you write it is actually greater than or equal to 16. And we know, at least I believe we know, that insurance you can stay on until you're 26. So your age needs to be less than 26. Okay, so these are just notes I'm putting together here. This is how I often program. I like to write stuff out in comments and then use that as my basis for comparing. So I'm going to write, we want to find out if the age of the person is less than insurance age and equal to or greater than driving age. All right. So what should we do to set all this up? Well, let's go ahead and use our example. Let user age, in this case, we're going to start with, go ahead and equaling 16. Now this time I'm not going to put it in quotes because I'm going to just treat it as a number, even though it probably would treat as a number, but let's make sure it's going to definitely treat as a number. Let driving age equal to 16, and let insurance age equal 26. All right. So now let's do our if statement, and it would be something like if, what? I must put a space in there. That does work in JavaScript, but the convention is usually put it right next to it. All right, if parentheses user age is equal to or greater than driving age, do something. But we don't want it just to be the user age and the driving age, and I wrote it backwards. Did I write it backwards? Hold on. Let me look. Yes, I did write it wrong. It is greater than, in this case it's greater than or equals. My bad. Okay, so if user age is greater than or equal to driving age, do something. But we really don't want to just compare user age to driving age. We also want to compare it to the insurance age. So the way we do that is we use another Boolean operator called AND. So what we really want to say is if the user age is greater than or equal to the driving age and the user age is less than the insurance age, then we say something along those lines. We don't just write the word and, of course, because that would be entirely too easy. We have to use the symbol for and I'm sorry that this is what it is. It's 2 ampersands. That's the and sign that's on the 7 key on a keyboard. Now, the other thing that you might be thinking is, oh, I can just type user age is greater than or equal to driving age and less than insurance age. That's not true. I mean, that's what you and I think, but that's not how the computer operates. We have to look at 2 completely independent equations. So we can type, we have to say user age is less than, because I believe it's up until your 26th birthday. I don't know that for a fact. It doesn't matter for this example, except one has an equals, one doesn't. If the user age is less than the insurance age, we're going to do this one thing. And what we'll do is we'll do a console.log. Congrats. You can drive and be on your parents' insurance. Is that really congrats worthy? I don't know. Seems like the best of both worlds. Okay, now let's try something else. Let's try if, or should we just do else? Let's just do an else right now. Else the console.log is sorry, you are not able to drive and be on your parents' insurance. Okay. Now, of course, we run this. This should work absolutely perfectly. Congrats, you can drive and be on your parents' insurance because we have the current user age to 16. Let's go to 15. Sorry, you're not able to drive and be on your parents' insurance. Okay, so that is true. There's the 2 conditions, but maybe we want to be a little bit more explicit in our feedback. Else if user age is, now here's where I'm just going to do this. I'm going to copy and paste this because we're going to try something different. We're going to give very specific feedback. I'm going to paste it, and we're going to change it from if the user age is less than the driving age, through logical agreement that if they were less than the driving age, of course, it's going to be less than the insurance age, but for now, we're going to do this. If they are less than the driving age and less than the insurance age, we can say sorry, you are too young to drive, but you can be on your parents' insurance. Okay. Apostrophe. Let's test this. Oh, you know what? That code is not correct. I need to put a here. Close the earlier one and put else. And that is telling me I'm wrong because I did not open a parentheses here. Save that. All right, so now we have it. Alrighty, so if the user age is greater than the driving age and the user age is less than the insurance age, then congrats, you can drive and be on your parents' insurance. If you're younger than the driving age and you are younger than the insurance age, sorry, you're too young to drive, but you can be on your parents' insurance. And then finally, sorry, you were not able to drive and be on your parents' insurance. I'm going to put at the same time. Let's go ahead and save that. I did. Let's refresh it here. And I have the age be 15. And the feedback is, sorry, you are too young to drive, but you can be on your parents' insurance. Okay. So that's exciting. What about an or statement? That if you are this old, if this is true or that is true, you can do something, do something. And we're going to use an or statement, which is, I will show you in a second, but it's basically called pipe. It is the key above the return key on most keyboards. You hold down Shift and you press the key above it. It's one of them is a backslash and one of them is an up and down. It's the up and down. So what are the conditions? Why would we want to check if this is true or that is true? Well, one of them might be the user age, and then let we're going to let driver's ed status be true. Okay, so what am I doing with this? It's a really good question. All right. So let's, if you're actually over 25 in Maryland, let's say you don't need to do driver's ed in order to take the test. But if you're 16, you need to take driver's ed in order to take the test. So let's figure out a very long, sort of complicated if statement to figure out if they can take the driver's ed test. And I'm going to use the actual constant of 25 as opposed to making a variable for it, just to give you some examples of combining things. Okay, so what we would do is we would say, okay, if the user age is greater than 25, greater than or equal to 25, or the user age is greater than or equal to 16, and the driver's ed status equals true, do this thing. What are we going to do? We're going to console.log. You may sit for your driver's exam. So my daughter is about to turn 16. If you want to know why driver's ed is completely on my brain, this is why. You may sit for your driver's exam. All right. So let's go ahead and see. We have the person at 15. We have their driver's ed status is true. And we're going to go ahead and test this. Nothing happens because it is not true. So let's make our driver be 18. You may sit for your driver's exam. All right. Now let's mess with some things. Let's change driver's ed status to false. Nothing happens, right? Go back to true. And then go back to driving age. Let's make the user age now be 29 and the driver's ed status be false. Try that. You may sit for your driver's exam because it executes in order. Now, the hard part to really truly know here, and I'm sorry for this, is that how does it compare this to this? Well, this is working out in our advantage, but the reality is, just like in math class, the things in the parentheses are done first. This is what I would do. And I'll show you why in just 1 second. So if user age is greater than 25, or the user age that this whole statement is true, then you can sit for your driver's exam. Why do I want you to do that? Well, let me show you something really kind of crazy, and I think this will work. Let's change it so that I try driver's ed equals true first. And user age is greater than 16. That should, okay. So the person is now 29, and we know this will work as normal. Sorry, that is bouncing around a lot. This should just work absolutely fine. Great. Now let's change the user age to 18, and let's do driver's ed. Actually, just for fun, let's say we have a precocious kid who is 15 and takes driver's ed. Now what should happen? Well, if the user age is greater than or equal to 25, that's not correct. But driver's ed status is true and the user age is greater than 16. That should not be correct either. That should not resolve for true. So let's see what it does. All right, it actually worked. In some computer languages, the reason I was a little concerned with that is that in some computer languages, it would have seen one thing and then gone and just skipped the rest of it. In this case, it didn't do that. It actually figured it out. So that's great. Like I just showed you, the best way to make sure that is definitely going to happen is to use parentheses around this. Okay. Now, the other really cool thing is when you're doing an or statement, I am so sorry for the bouncing around. When you're doing an or statement, as soon as a condition is true, it stops checking anything else and then goes on. It goes, it goes into the loop. So user age is greater than or equal to 25, or, oh, you know what? That's true. So we're out. We're going to go right in. We're going to execute this thing. That's important to understand as we get further down the road and it comes into play with some of our more complicated if-then statements. But for right now, this is an excellent use of, or I should say, this is a really good example of our tool and what we can do with sort of these compound or sort of these more complex Boolean statements within there. So we're going to take a break right now, and let's take a look at how we can use one more type of control, one more type of if. It's actually not an if, it's called a case. We're going to use a case, and we're going to see how that can be used in JavaScript.